So far we've only been talking about motion in one dimension, things moving in a straight line. Now we're going to start talking about motion in 2 and 3D, especially in 3D. It becomes really complicated when we go from 1 to 2 to 3. However, all I want to do for right now is to just redefine our equations of motion in these coordinates. So for example, the first equation of motion, will that look like that? And my second equation will look like this. Delta R equals R minus R0 equals V naught T plus a half A T squared. Where when I talk about all of these terms, I mean R will be a function of X, Y, Z. V will be a function of X, Y, Z. And A will also be a function of X, Y, and Z. So we've just gone from 1D to 3D. And everything now will be a vector. And our last equation of motion will be 2A delta R equals V minus V0. Where, as always, V0 is initial velocity, but in 3D, V is final velocity in 3D, and A is acceleration in 3D. And time is just time, right? So basically, each of these equations now represents how many equations? 3. Right? Does that make sense? 1 for X, 1 for Y, 1 for Z. And the fun part is, in most of these questions, they can be treated as independently, right? So you could solve for X, you solve for Y, you solve for Z separately. Okay, now in 3D, how does Newton's law change? Again, how many equations will we get? 3, 1 along the X, 1 along the Y, 1 along the Z, right? And on this side, what will we get? dP over dt, the change in momentum over change in time, equals the sum of all the forces acting on an object. When m is a constant, this equation reduces down to ma. When mass is not a constant, when mass is changing, we still write sigma fs dp over dt, or m dv over dt plus v dm over dt. So how many equations should we get from this? 3. 1 along the X, 1 along the Y, 1 along the Z. And total, so if I write fx, fy, fz, can I then write total f as fx, fy, fz, or fxi plus fyj plus fzk? Good? Okay, so now there are 2 different kinds of forces that we talked about. Oh, I should have given this a heading. Newton's laws. Force equations.